Thank you.
So, Amit, you are running an Indian game company based in Chicago?
Based in Chicago.
You
yes.
bought a company in the UK
We bought
and now just closed a partnership in China. What is going on?
just going after, as my wife tells me that I don't think I want to live in Chicago or I want to stay at home. But yes, we're trying to do everything which has not been done before. I'm the only guy based in Chicago now, and we have a majority of the studios are in UK and India, and we're setting up a big operations in China right now, which is fun. So life is fun right now.
So what is your strategy? Are you guys, I know in the past you guys were very focused, the mobile business was very focused on the Western audience. Are you guys going more and more after the Indian audience now?
Yes and no. So basically, the way the Reliance is structured is we have two separate entities. One is Focus, which is Reliance Games, focus on the Western market. We focus on the IP-based games, and we've had a fairly decent success in that market. We had pulled the other business for us in India is called Zapak Mobile, which is a branding for India-based company, and that's been done at, we started about 5 years ago, and we pulled back in India about 2.5, 3 years ago, focused, we were not doing development, we were more in the publishing business in India. About 6 months ago, when we did that little bit of transition, we actually went back into India and restarted to regenerate. So it's not we are moving away from Western world, we actually restarting our India business and operations and actually doing a lot of new development and going after that market.
So what is the driver for this change of strategy, refocusing on India?
Lot of changes actually. Indian market is on tear, and we've been, being the one of the biggest companies in India. We were not focused on that market at all. But the numbers which we look at, what are driving in India right now is there are about 25 to 30 million handsets are being, smartphones being added on a monthly basis. So if you look at the numbers by end of this year, numbers are anywhere from 200 to 250. 200 to 250 million smartphone handsets are going to be in the market. That's one. Data speeds, which are typically about in the range of 512 to a meg right now in 3G, is moving to about a 10 meg speeds with LTE launching in the first week of December. So if you look at the three pillars of entertainment, especially in the gaming, handsets, data, and then the content. So first two pillars are going to be sorted by the next 2 months, which is a big change in that market. And a lot of people and a lot of consumers are actually embracing mobile in the gaming and the entertainment world than they have on the internet or a device or a laptop or so. So if you see 75% of the users in India are exposed to entertainment in what we call as a media and entertainment sector there, which is gaming, video, short form, or even a long form through their mobile devices, not through internet, which we are, or not through the internet-enabled laptops or PCs, which we are in the case here, or even the big TVs here. So the market shifted quite dramatically, and that's changing a lot of people to rethink what is happening in India. And the last is, is the consumers are becoming more pervasive. They're understanding what the gaming industry is, and they get playing, and the session times are becoming longer and stuff like that.
So to that point, I think we understand there is a smartphone revolution going on, data revolution coming up in India. How has that started to translate for mobile game industry? Are you seeing any evidence that people are downloading more games, spending money on the games? Can you put some context how big that gaming market is in India now?
Two questions there. One is how many people are downloading and are they making money? Because I think there are two different and very important factors for India. India is where China was about 5-6 years ago. And the growth which is happening from a consumption point of view and download point of view, and even the handset pervasiveness is actually happening 3x or 4x faster than what happened in China. To an extent where people, once the new device is launched, they are getting, they're downloading about 6 to 7 apps in the first day itself. And that's what the data we're trying to see from App Annie and some of the consumers, from the carriers which are there in the marketplace. So there's a lot of downloads happening. More apps, less games, but the games are picking up. A top 5 game in India on a Google App Store is driving anywhere from 50 to 100,000 downloads a day now.
What was that number a year ago?
It was about $5,000 to $10,000
so
down.
10x
so it's
growth.
10x growth, and we expect that number to grow up another 10x by, within the next 12 months.
Why do you think that number is going to grow again in the next 12 months? So I think 4 or 5 years ago, Reliance was very aggressive, putting up all the PC game cafes in India, and that time we thought this is going to be a big revolution. India is going to be next China. That did not pan out.
Right.
Why do you think mobile is different?
Because I think the PC pricing at that point of time, the internet speeds at that time, the infrastructure wasn't ready. We've been talking about internet boom coming in internet in India for 10 years. I mean, Reliance alone has spent hundreds of millions of dollars in this business, and we're finally seeing that there is, an ROI coming in from a users actually playing and getting into the internet boom. If you look at it, we as you rightly said, we used to have about 450 gaming cafes in India. We shut all of them down about 3 years ago, and there's a company which just got funded 3 months ago, which is about $20 million to set up those 150 cafes again. So if you look at it, it's a company coming of maybe we were 10 years ahead, or there's just too much of a boom coming in the market. But going back to the mobile sector, I think it's the devices, right? If you look at it, the transition from feature phone to smartphone is the fastest it has ever been in any other country. Even being part of the Indian community, even us, Reliance also has a big carrier. We have about 250 million subs, right? And I talked to the CEO there, and they didn't even envision that the transition was going to be so fast and so quick. And and everybody's been caught off guard. I mean, it's not only because of the devices which is happening from Samsungs of the world, but it's actually driven by local OEMs, similar to what happened in China. There's devices sub $100, which are, I would give run for the money to a Samsung S5 right now. And they're so capable devices, and they're available in the market for like less than $100 price point.
Got it. So the mobile revolution is going on. People are downloading more and more games. You expect that to continue. How about monetization?
So monetization in India is actually a very interesting perspective. I don't think there is going to be in-app monetization at all happening in India for next 12 to 24 months. There are multiple reasons why. Because the cultural reason, there's one component that people don't like spending money for content right now, but then also another big factor is the gaming users right now are so used to getting everything for free as an add-on where everybody's giving them everything on platter. You just get a pre-roll and you get a game for free. I think that is the second thing. And the third thing, the monetization, which is what we are seeing is going to change, is going to be a combination of sponsorships, a combination of brand ads, and a combination of downloads, which is going to be rewarded videos. It's not going to be a traditional, in-app model, which we are used to here, or it's not going to be a traditional ad-supported CPI game-based companies, driving downloads. If you look at it right now in India, the CPIs are significant. I mean, compared to what they were even 12 months ago or even 6 months ago, right? And those CPI costs are not driven by gaming company. No gaming company is buying installs right now. It's all being done by app companies, basically Amazons, and the other internet-based retailers, and the Ubers of the world, and these similar apps there.
So I want to talk about distribution, but before that, I just want to understand a little bit better your argument about in-app purchases are not going to be main form of monetization in India. Can you help us understand why will that be the case for next 12 months?
Yes.
I mean, free-to-play is everywhere, right?
So the reason is that only 3% of the users have credit card penetration in India right now. It's a very cash economy. That's one. So by the time Google and Apple and the other app stores figure out how to integrate the carrier billing into the mix, that's one important component. There are other payment channels which are digital payment channels or digital wallets, which are very pervasive in India. By the time they get integrated into the mix, we're not going to see the in-app model come in so quickly. There are people who are spending money. I mean, I'll give you an example. When in India, when Google and Apple reduced their price structure from the 99 cents to 15 cents price point, about 4 or 5 weeks ago or so, we actually worked with them to look at two components of that mix. There was one, people said that India people don't spend money and people don't download games which are 250, 300 meg downloads. So we actually reduced the price point to 15 cents, which is 10 rupees in India, for our main game called Real Steel, which is a 250 meg download, without any promotion. And the plan was the first week we were just going to reduce the price. Second week we were going to work with Apple for some featuring. And the third week was going to be a big bang where they say, okay, now, get the games for rupees 10. And, first week alone itself, we actually saw a game which was not even ranked anywhere in India to going into top 20. Without any CPI model, we just did a little bit of social push on our fan book page, and we got a significant amount of boost happening. So two things which made us look. One was, pricing it's a very price sensitive country, so 10 rupees was a good price point. And secondly, people are willing to download 250 meg game, because average component, a lot of people are thinking that a game has to be less than 5 meg, right? And that's, if you look at the top charts in India, all games are crappy because they're 5 meg games, and all of them are so, ad, component at every 30 seconds you see an ad. So the user experience is extremely bad. And we took all of that out of the mix without ad. We did a 250 meg game, and we've been on that chart for 6 weeks, doing extremely well.
Got it. So just to recap, so you're saying the monetization, in-app monetization will not occur till the time. The constraint is mostly about the payment mechanism.
Correct.
It's not the propensity of people to spend money on the game.
Absolutely.
Got it. Now, second point, you talked about the CPIs. Can you give some context? What is the CPI in India, and how does that compare versus, let's say, in the US?
So CPIs are about, it's about $1 to $1.50 right now, but that is rising significantly because of the internet boom, the e-commerce boom, which is happening right now. So the, Amazons of the world are spending humongous amount of money. I don't know, I discussed this with a few of the people yesterday as well. Actually, Amazon has changed a lot of their model. I mean, 90% of their downloads in India for Amazon are actually coming from their app, not from Amazon.com website, which is a big, big change for them. I mean, if you look at the Amazon website, they're actually advertising everywhere their app. It's just the focus is to download the app, not the content or Amazon, which is very, very different model and marketing model when they have had here. Got it.
So CPI is $1 to $1.50. There is no monetization. As a game developer, how do you solve that puzzle? How do you get distribution?
So the distribution is going to be, you have to work through the regular channels of advertising, and but if you can make that $1 and $1.50 through sponsored ads, you're going to, because there are people who are putting eCPMs are rising quite significantly. You can get an eCPM as high as like $100, $120 for some of the some of the ads which are running for a very specific time of the year. I mean, like right now there's $1 billion event running in India for 10 days between Amazon and Flipkart. I don't know if you heard that name, Flipkart being a competitor to Amazon, and they're spending a significant amount of money in getting the new users, and the eCPMs are like crazy right now. I mean, I actually have a higher eCPM in India right now than I have it in the US.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So what does that mean in terms of games? What kind of games you think are popular now, and based on this dynamic where most of the monetization is either sponsored ads or tournaments, what do you see? What kind of games are going to be popular in the next 12 to 18 months?
So games, so if you look at the cultural component, I mean, India has traditionally done extremely well on the, the racing categories. They've done well on the, on the casual category. And obviously the sports does extremely well. I mean, the cricket being a fanatic country there. I mean, people spend a lot, the session times on the cricket games are, as close to 20, 25 minutes, which is crazy. I mean, if you look at the amount of people spend time in some of these games is humongous. And from a monetization point of view, the poker games are doing extremely well. Actually, they're predicting, this is actually a festival season just started in India as of today, and goes on for next 30 days. So it's a combination of, what we call it here, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, all of them clubbed together in this 30-day period. And the poker games are, they believe that poker games would be doing close to about $1 million a month in India right now. And this is actually in-app and real cash money.
Interesting. Are any of these companies doing tournaments, or branded ads?
They're not doing tournaments and branded ads. This is all actually, they're all doing it through real. Most of the money is coming from real money in India right now for poker as well as rummy. Those are two big games out there.
Got it, got it. So what is your roadmap? What does your roadmap look like for the next 12, 24 months?
So for India, we have looked at basically, we're looking at all these three categories. Actually, we're looking at another fourth category, which is, which we're working with a lot of actors and, and brands, brand ambassadors, what we're calling them, so cricket stars and stuff, and trying to do cricket games based on that. But we're looking at definitely cricket, we're looking at casual games, and we're looking at a racing category. I mean, we also own Codemasters, so we actually have one of the fairly big racing, IPs with Formula One and Grid and Dirt. So we're trying to see how we revive them specifically for India and what can be done in that category there.
In terms of environment for doing business for foreign companies in India, what do you see? Where are we right now in terms of the regulation or any other hurdles? And do you think this is a country which will be again dominated by the large Western companies, or this is going to be the local Indian companies?
I think it's going to be a combination of both. I mean, there are obviously, a lot of large Western companies have a setup in India. I mean, like, give an example, like EA, Gameloft, all of those guys are actually there. I mean, there are a few of the other ones haven't. But it's not going to be just you can take your game from here, like just take Clash of Clans and just go launch it in India and it'll do well. It's a, majority of the users are English speaking, but you have to have some cultural nuances. I mean, if you look at it, why Subway Surfers still does extremely, extremely well in India is because they had, they added a city called Mumbai as one of the big updates. And that actually drove a lot of their downloads, not only in India, but around the world. I mean, that was one of the bigger successful updates from them. But what is also happening is the new set of users who are coming in from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And India being 26, 27 languages, you're going to get the growth from the next 4 to 5 different languages which you need to incorporate. So English is going to be the prominent player, download from their component, and players are going to play in that. But if you really want to get into the mix, you have to look at the next 5 or 6 languages in India as well.
Got it. You see any big Chinese companies getting warmed up to India gaming market yet?
All of them are there. I mean, everybody's spending a lot of money. I mean, if you look at the messaging apps, which most of the Chinese companies have, they've been very aggressive in India. And after our conversations, with our setup in China now, everybody believes that the next focus for them is going to be India. And everybody is in the process setting it up, not only Chinese, but we're seeing a similar component coming from Korea as well as in Japanese companies as well. I mean, I think the Western companies are way far behind in the whole mix right now than the Asian companies in India right now. They will actually, we feel that they will have quite a bit of a healthy advantage than some of the Western companies right now.
Got it. Last question for you before we close. What is the one piece of advice you can give to developers here who want to go address Indian market and you're not allowed to say, come partner with me?
Seriously? That's no. I think you should definitely identify a partner, somebody who understands the market, who understands how to get these brands into there. Don't take the similar cookie cutter approach of what we've done in Western. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why we separated out our 2 teams as well. There has to be some culturalization, there has to be some localization. And the most importantly, if you want to make money from those downloads which are going to come in, it has to be in local ad networks, and you have to get the sponsors and brands in there. It's not going to be just rewarded ads. So understanding the market, understanding the integration of your ads into this is going to be a very important component in there.
Wonderful. Amit, thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Great. Thanks, Pastor.
Thank you.